We all have that crazy aunt or uncle, don't we? For me, it was my Uncle Tom, and I think he was probably crazier than your crazy aunt or uncle. I'll tell you why. Let's start with the fact that my crazy Uncle Tom would try to kill me all the time. All the time. I forgave him for it, though. It started when I was a little baby. That's when he first started trying to kill me. You see, my mom would try to sneak out of the house and leave me with whoever was around so she could get away before they knew she was gone. That way she could get a babysitter without having to ask. My Uncle Tom lived on the top floor, and that's where he'd get stuck watching me. Here's a picture of my Uncle Tom holding me in the room on that third floor. He explained to me that I would not stop crying and he didn't know what to do. And one day he noticed the table by the window and he thought to himself, well, he's only about the size of a football. So if I kind of put him on the table and just open the window, I could just explain that, hey, I turned around and he kind of rolled out the window. He loved to tell me that story. He told me it for years, over and over. The thing that happened to my Uncle Tom was my uncle was in the back. The back hit the front of the oncoming car. My uncle's car fishtailed around, and the back part of the car again hit the back side of the oncoming car, if you can picture that. Kind of like swish, boom, boom. And he was crushed inside. He was in a coma for 9 months and died for about 8 minutes at the end of that. And he tells a strange tale of what he experienced in those 8 minutes. After they revived him, he was like a baby. He didn't know how to talk, and he crawled around. He even had to wear diapers, and he was 18. My grandmother told me when she got all her gray hairs was with that water tank and them lowering him down there and him looking at me like a baby. But she also told me that he had to crawl around on all fours. He had to learn to eat, talk, read, and write again. But she mentions the water tank as the breaking point. She was a real tough lady, man. So anyway, as it came to be, when I was a kid, I lived with my grandparents, and so I had to live with my Uncle Tom, because this guy was so crazy he couldn't live with anybody but his parents for the rest of his life. So it was kind of like me, a child, and him, this man-child, as siblings, if you will, and him just constantly trying to kill me, man. He loved to smoke weed. I looked up to him a lot. You know, he'd blast Jimi Hendrix, and this is how I discovered Jimi Hendrix, was through my uncle singing these songs to me like Are You Experienced, and laughing like a fucking maniac driving up the Marina Road in Cape May. The other thing my uncle would do to me is I had a small boat that I would keep behind the house when we lived in Cape May that I would take out into the bay to go for lunch and stuff. And anytime I would try to launch the boat off the beach, I would try to sneak out and get out before he saw me, because if he saw me, he would insist on coming, and he was a scary motherfucker to have on a boat with you. I'll tell you right now, man. Like, I was going to go for a pleasure cruise, but now I got this psychopath making me miserable, and he would scream at me the whole time. Nail it! Was what he would yell at me to tell me to try to beat boats to certain points. You know, there's a big boat coming going and with the air horns and stuff, and we're puttering along, tut 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 tut, and he'd look at me, and I was so scared of him, like I said, because he would try to kill me my whole life, and I was in such awe and fear of this man. I punched a little engine. I had a little 12-pound outboard, you know, and we're like running down these Coast Guard cutters and stuff in the middle of the bay. Boom, boom, on the little, you know, rolling the little swells and stuff. Man, what a nut. One thing my uncle often said to me is, you're never going to know what it's like to leave the earth at 186,000 miles per hour, faster than the speed of sound, man. Telling me how he left the earth and flew up, and he remembered seeing the earth go, and was gone. So because of that, he always said to me that his theme song was Superman by the Kinks, because he was one of the only people that knew what it felt like to be Superman and to truly fly like Superman.